Welcome to Living Fuel TV. I'm KC Craichy with special guest Dr. Greg Wells. Greg, great to have you back.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here again.
Greg is a sports scientist to elite athletes in Canada and a doctor at All Children's Hospital in Toronto. Now, we talked in the previous show about how relevant those two things are. Explain briefly how that crossover works.
So I work as an extreme human physiologist. So I'm a scientist. I study how the body works in extreme conditions, either in chronic diseases like we see at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, or with the Olympic athletes trying to win medals at games like the Olympics.
So we deal with things in regular life in the middle, right?
That's right.
So you got the extremes on both sides, and most of us fall in the middle there somewhere.
Yeah, the vast majority of us mere mortals will fall in the middle zone, but we can still learn from what happens at the extremes. We can learn how to live healthier lives. We can learn from the elite athletes how to perform better, and out of all of that have greater, better, more exciting, more healthy lives.
So the elite athlete is on the edge, gets to the edge of unhealthiness, literally, when they push themselves out there, and the kid in an extreme surgery or treatment situation, say like cancer, gets to the very edge also.
Yeah, we push the body as far as we possibly can in high performance sport. We literally put as much stress on them as we possibly can, and then allow them to recover, and then do it again, and then allow them to recover. And that stimulates the body to adapt positively. And the benefit of that ultimately is we end up stronger, healthier, faster, fitter. What we try to do on the opposite end of the spectrum with children with chronic disease is to use the information that we have about how the body works physiologically, from my perspective, and to help treat that ultimate stress of disease and lack of immune function or whatever, supporting it in order to bring them back into the healthy zone as quickly as possible. I try to do both through a knowledge and application of exercise science and also through nutritional, supported by incredible nutrition as well.
So the people in the middle, they deal with stress in a different way. There's different kinds of stress, but the result is similar, and how you might handle it could be similar.
Absolutely. The physiological response to stress is pretty universal. And there's a great story that I love telling from the last Olympics in Vancouver. Being a Canadian, we love our Winter Olympics. So there was a figure skater, Joni Rochette, and she went out, arrived at the Olympic Games ranked 6th in the world. And right before the Olympics, actually at the beginning of the Olympic Games, her mother passed away. And so you can imagine what it would be like trying to go out and to compete at the highest level possible, having just lost the most important person in your life, the person that took you to practice for 10 years, the person who was your confidant, and yet she went out onto the ice to skate. 20,000 people in the stadium went crazy to support her. Of course, what else could you possibly do? But she became emotional. She began to lose control. She became tense and tight, and you could see that happen to her. To her credit, as a young athlete, she went back to her coach, stopped for a moment, took a drink of water, took 3 deep, relaxing breaths. Her coach smiled at her, which is an incredible response, because her coach is feeling just as much stress as she is, having been probably very good friends with the mom. So there was this physical calming of the athlete and the positive support of the mentor in that case, which allowed her then to go back out and perform the skate of her life to win the bronze medal.
Wow.
It's a perfect example of something that all of us can do. Imagine if you've had a tough day at work, and right before you walk into your home, you can stop and take 3 deep calming breaths before you arrive and try to deal with your family. Or there's a crazy situation at the office, and instead of rapidly reacting to the situation, you take a moment, 20 seconds really, to compose yourself before you walk in. I mean, that's a perfect example of how we can learn from elite athletes to positively benefit our own lives.
That is a fantastic story. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
So what about, there's a difference in repetitive stress versus the stresses like you just talked about, like, tragedy or those sort of things. But most people get into repetitive stress, like, unending deadlines or financial issues and that sort of thing. How might what you teach help someone in that situation?
Well, unfortunately, in the world that we live in, I doubt if we're ever going to get rid of all those stressors that we're faced in. It's a time of constant change. It's a time of, I believe, the financial upheavals that we've seen are probably going to continue, and the pressures on all of us to perform at our best are going to increase. So I really don't focus so much on getting rid of stress. I think we're going to be faced with that in our lives. It's just the nature of the game. What I focus on is helping people to recover faster. Can we get people back to 100% by the time that they arrive at home? Maybe even by the time that they get back to work the next morning. Can we help people to eat better? Can we help people to get massages every once in a while? Can we help people to sleep better? Can we help people to speed that recovery from the negative pressures of stress in order to get people ideally back to at least level, maybe even better the next day, so that we can improve performance, improve health, despite the fact that we live in a crazy, stressful, high-pressure environment.
All right, so the example you just gave is similar to an athlete. You stress them to the max, and then you can recover them.
That's right.
Okay, so how might that work in the situation you just talked about?
We have a protocol that we try to use as much as possible with our athletes when we put them under a tremendous amount of stress. The first thing that we try to do is to help them to eat immediately after exercise. Within 20 minutes of finishing a workout, they're eating carbohydrate and protein. High-quality carbohydrates to fuel the muscles, proteins to help repair the muscles. Within 2 hours, we like them having high-quality fats to fix the nervous system and to provide long-term fuels. We concentrate a lot on getting people rehydrated as quickly as possible, because water being one of the most important things that we need during exercise and just to stay alive. Then we'll work on longer-term recovery things like hot-cold contrast baths, making sure that once a week the athletes have a great massage to get rid of inflammation out of the body. And then, as much as possible, making sure that people have the ability to get great 8 hours of sleep every night. Not everyone needs 8 hours, but ideally that's what we try to get for people.
How important is that?
It is one of the most important things. When we sleep, a number of hormones get released into the body, one of the key ones being growth hormone. And when growth hormone is released into the system, all of the muscles get repaired, the nervous system gets repaired, your skin actually improves. And so allowing athletes the opportunity to get into those deep levels of sleep as quickly as possible for a consistent period of time is really important to keep their bodies recovering, regenerating, their minds recovering and regenerating. And let's face it, we all need, how great do you feel after a fantastic night's sleep? And if we can do that on a consistent basis, that makes a huge difference for all of us.
I mean, that's even an energetic component. I mean, it's energy enhancing to sleep and energy robbing not to sleep. So it's really a fascinating thing. You talked about we're not going to get into stress. Monica talks about stress being, if you don't have pressure, blood pressure, you're dead. So you need a certain amount of stress.
Right.
And it is really about increasing your body, soul, and spirit's ability to deal with the stress, like you talked about. And stress can be good, like athletics and doing things that are challenging and competitive. That actually could extend your life. It's the repetitive stuff that people focus on, this negative stuff that tears them down. How stressful is the American diet? I mean, probably the Canadian diet too. I mean, they're eating French fries and. I saw the other day somebody ordered a burger and they got rid of the vegetables and they had a huge pile of fries.
Yeah.
And how stressful is that to the body?
Well, our diet's killing us. There's no question that the North American and certainly American and Canadian diet is absolutely it's toxic. It's really, really bad for us. The sad thing is I just got back from a trip to India and you see that spreading now around the world. It doesn't matter where you go, this is a growing problem internationally. The World Health Organization has designated obesity and type 2 diabetes as the #1 concern worldwide for our health.
Wow.
And we talked a little bit about stress and sleep, and there's some great new research coming out about how stress can predispose people to increased obesity and how lack of sleep predisposes people to increased obesity. It is a vicious cycle, which can be, I believe, my approach is to try to prevent it in the first place through exercise and nutrition. And there's a lot of great research that shows that good nutrition improves obesity and type 2 diabetes, but if you add exercise to it, it's an amplified effect.
And then you add sleep and so on, and you get back
and you just get back into the positive effects then build upon each other, and we end up hopefully repairing this problem that we have. And the key thing being prevention. If we can educate people and get people to buy into this exercise and nutrition principle, we're going to be able to change the world.
Awesome information. Look forward to the next segment.
Thanks very much.
Guys, his book is Superbodies, Dr. Greg Wells. We hope it's helpful to you. God bless you and have a great day.